I never thought of myself as a jealous man. At least, that's what I told myself during most of our 7-year marriage. My wife, Hannah, was always social, warm, and effortlessly friendly, the kind of person who remembered the barista's name or sent birthday cards to coworkers. I admired that about her. But somewhere along the way, that same kindness began to feel like a mask, something rehearsed, not real. It started small. Late-night texts from numbers I didn't recognize. Laughter that didn't quite reach her eyes. That quiet kind of distance you can't prove but you can feel. When I asked her about it, she smiled and brushed it off. "It's just work stuff, Ryan. You're overthinking again." I wanted to believe her. God knows I did. But there comes a point when your gut stops whispering and starts screaming. One night, I came home early from a client dinner. Her phone was on the kitchen counter, face up. A message preview flashed across the screen from someone named Ethan. "Can't wait to see you next weekend. Feels like old times already." Old times. She was in the shower. I stood there for a full minute, staring at that glowing screen. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. I just went still. When she came out, wrapped in a towel and humming softly, she froze too. The way someone does when they realize the storm is already inside the house. "Who's Ethan?" I asked. My voice wasn't angry, just quiet. She blinked, too long to be natural. "He's an old friend from college. He lives in Portland. We just talk sometimes." "Talk," I repeated. "And this trip next weekend?" She hesitated, just a breath, but I caught it. "It's a work conference. Marketing retreat. You know that." I nodded. I didn't argue, didn't raise my voice. I just said, "Got it," and walked out of the room. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not from heartbreak. It hadn't hit yet, but from clarity. Every detail from the past few months clicked into place like a puzzle I'd ignored too long. The new perfume. The late gym sessions. The sudden obsession with waxing. The phone that never left her side. She thought she was careful. But people planning betrayal always underestimate the quiet ones. The next morning, I told her I'd booked a golf weekend with my coworkers. She smiled, relieved, thinking she'd have the house and her guilt to herself before her trip. What she didn't know was that I'd already checked her email backup. One search for Ethan, and there it was. Hundreds of messages. Months of them. It started innocent, catching up, nostalgia, old jokes. Then slowly the tone changed. Compliments. Inside jokes about me. Plans. And finally, one message that made my hands go cold. "I can't stop thinking about what we didn't finish back then. Maybe this trip gives us that chance." And her reply, "Maybe it does." I didn't explode. Didn't confront her. I just sat there, staring at the woman I thought I knew, her smiling photos, her soft words on the screen. And for the first time, I understood that silence can wound louder than shouting ever could. That night, she kissed me goodnight, as if nothing was wrong. And I kissed her back, memorizing that false tenderness, knowing I'd never feel it again. The next morning, she packed her suitcase, floral dress, makeup bag, her favorite heels. She kissed me goodbye, promising to call when she landed. I smiled, my heart stone still, and said 2 words that made her pause at the door. "Take care." Ordinary words, but the way I said them froze her mid-step. She looked back, confused, suspicious, like some small animal sensing danger. I smiled. "Enjoy your trip, Hannah." She nodded tightly and left, rolling her suitcase behind her. The sound of those wheels across the floor felt like a countdown. When the door clicked shut, I exhaled the breath I'd been holding for months. While she thought she was flying to Portland for a weekend of nostalgia and sin, I had already set my plan in motion. Her hotel confirmation had been in her email. I'd forwarded it to myself days ago. That morning, I called the hotel, claiming my wife had accidentally used my card and I needed a copy of the invoice for verification. They sent it right away. 2 names on the reservation, hers and Ethan's. I printed it, folded it neatly, and slipped it into an envelope. Then I went to work, sat through meetings, smiled when needed, even bought coffee for the team. Inside, I was calm, too calm. Not broken, just empty of everything that once hurt. That night, she texted that she'd arrived safely. I replied, "Glad you made it. Take care." She didn't answer. Sunday evening, she came home, hair messy, eyes tired, guilt clinging to her like a scent. She asked how my trip went. I said, "Fine." I didn't mention the envelope waiting for her on the kitchen counter. She noticed it when she went for a glass of water. Her voice trembled. "What's this?" "Open it," I said.
She did.
The color drained from her face. The printed invoice, 2 names. And beneath it, my handwriting, "Take care." She froze. Then came the excuses, the tears, the desperate lies people tell when trying to rewrite reality. "Ryan, it's not what you think." "Don't insult us both, Hannah," I said quietly. "You made your choice. You just didn't expect me to make mine so quietly." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Please, let's talk." "It was a mistake." "A mistake has weight when it happens once," I said. "Yours was a plan." She reached for me. I stepped back. He wanted to relive the old times. "Now you'll see what consequences feel like." I handed her another envelope, her name written across the front. "Divorce papers. Prepared a week earlier." Inside was also a note with my lawyer's contact. And the same 2 words, "Take care." She stared at me, wide-eyed. "You're really ending this?"
Just like that.
"Not just like that," I said softly. "Like everything else, you ignored it slowly, then all at once." Silence followed. The kind that sounds like glass cracking underfoot. Then she picked up her bags and walked out. No drama. No shouting. Just the sound of her leaving for the last time. After the door closed, I sat at the table. The house felt emptier, but lighter. Outside, rain tapped against the windows, steady and indifferent. I poured a drink, stared at my reflection, and whispered the words that had carried me through it all.
Take care.
Because power doesn't always come from shouting or slamming doors. Sometimes, it comes from knowing exactly when to end a chapter, without bending the page. The next morning, I deleted her number, blocked her email, and drove up the coast. No music. No destination. Just open road, and the quiet truth that I'd finally stopped chasing someone who had already left months ago. And somewhere between the gray sky and the crashing waves, I realized something. Love isn't about fighting to be chosen. It's about respecting yourself enough to walk away when you're not.
Hannah taught me that.
And those 2 quiet words, "Take care," were the last she'd ever hear from me.